guys, today we're going to learn how to change strings. The first part of it, if you're playing electric or acoustic, is just to cut them off. So you can use a pair of diagonal cutters and just get rid of them. They shouldn't be tied up here. Some places that may have put them on before would have tied them. That's kind of an older way of doing it, and nobody really does that anymore. It's not really necessary. And it takes a long time to undo, so we're not worried about that. On an electric guitar, the strings go right through the back here. Now there may be on your guitar a plate like this covering it. You can work with these. It should have little holes like that. You can work with that, but it's kind of tough. It's easier if you just leave it off. It doesn't really hurt anything, but you can do whatever you want. Hey guys, I'm kind of Strat-centric, so I forgot to point out that you may not have a bridge like mine. On a Les Paul like this, the strings go through the bridge here, the tailpiece, and then come out. So in this case, when you cut them, you want to watch real careful. Be careful. Make sure this doesn't just fall out. It's held on there just by the pull of the strings. So keep a hand on there. Ease it out. Try not to turn these posts. Try not to turn these guys at all. Leave everything how it is. And then we just load the strings back in through here. It's a really, you can see where the strings go through. It's a pretty simple system. Okay, back to the bench. Okay, so now we're going to change the strings on this guy. We got to put the new ones in. Remember that you're looking at this now from an odd angle. So this is the 6th string. This is the 1st string. It's kind of backwards, 6 being the biggest string, 1st being the smallest string. Whoa, look at that. Okay, so we're just going to load all these through from biggest to smallest. There's no real trick to doing this part, other than when you pull the strings out and they're all wound up. If you get a hold of that ball end and you just give it a little flick, it'll straighten out and it won't jab you in the eye, which is good. Okay, so there's 2 different styles of headstocks. One is a 6 on a side tuners, like this, and the other are 3 on a side, and I'll show you that here in a minute. When we're doing 6 on a side tuners, we figure out what tuner our string is going in. So in this case it's our 6th string, it's going into this 1st tuner here. And then we go 2 tuner lengths past that. So if it goes into our 6th string tuner here, there's 2 tuner lengths past, 1, 2, and that's where we cut it. If you do that, that's the right length of string. When in doubt, cut it a little long. Next, we go ahead and just put the string through the tuner there, and we're careful to leave just a little bit out. Everybody always asks what's the right way to turn the string, and the string should always go from the inside of the tuner to the outside of the tuner as you wrap. So in this direction, we are turning counterclockwise. We have a little bit of string sticking out. I don't know if you can see that. The next piece here is the next part is to make sure that the string that we're wrapping goes over that little piece that sticks out. After that, all subsequent wraps will go under that little piece that sticks out, pinching the string in there. That's why we don't need to tie it anymore. I talked earlier about guys who will tie the string, guys or gals. Okay, it's cool. I'll show you one more time. Okay. And don't bring it up to tension either. Leave it a little slack. We'll get to why later. Okay, so this is the A string, the 5th string. We're going into this tuner here, the 2nd tuner in. So we're going to go 1, 2 tuner lengths past where it's heading in. And when in doubt, cut it a hair long. Always, always, always. Okay, cool. Put the piece in. Again, I'm still turning counterclockwise. Sticking out, the little piece sticks out there, so the 1st wrap goes over that little piece. All subsequent wraps go under that little piece. I'm trying to keep it so you guys can see here. There you go. One of the things you should have other than diagonal cutters is a string winder. And I didn't mention this earlier, because what we use a string winder for is after we cut the strings, and this is my favorite part, by the way, put your hand over the neck so that they can't jump and hit you in the eye. Okay, this part right here, the string winder, this little cutout, is to wedge underneath these bridge pins. So you slide it under there and you pull up like so, and it pulls these out. If they don't want to come out, you can reach up under and get to them. Or, if they don't want to come out past that point, then you probably just have to get a hammer and tap them out from the bottom part. Don't do that. Have somebody else do that. Okay, same deal up here. They're not tied. I should mention that we don't want to take all the strings off at once if it's a Floyd Rose tremolo. If it's a Floyd Rose tremolo, and you'll know if you have it, it'll have a bunch of locking metal up here. It'll look like your guitar strings are an Alcatraz. You don't want to take those all off at the same time. You want to do one at a time. If you notice, after I cut off the strings, loop them up like this. If you do that, they can't jump out of the garbage. Okay. So what we want to do here, how we handle this, is this peg here has a groove in it, right on the front there. You can see it. What we want to do is we take this grooved part, and it runs along the string. That little channel is what the string sits in. We press down. Then as we press down, we also are still pulling up to make sure that that's a nice tight fit in there. It's all just held on by friction, so it needs to be a nice tight fit. And then we bring it up here. Now these, on the electric guitar I showed you 6 on a side tuners. On an acoustic and a lot of Gibson style and different types of guitars, they have 3 on a side tuners. The basics are still the same. What changes is the length. Because these are further apart, we go 1.5 tuner lengths. So here's 1, here's a half. That's where we cut it. Okay, once we got that down, same thing applies. We're going to go in the small hole. We turn counterclockwise, so you go in through the tuner, leaving just a small section of string sticking out. And as we're turning, I'm also kind of pulling and giving a little tension on it. The first wrap goes over the piece that sticks out there. All the other wraps go under. All the other wraps go under. I'm also keeping tension here. I'm pulling it tight. That helps. It's one of those things, though, until you do it, it's kind of hard to get an idea. Okay. You can do this on a lap or a table or whatever. In this case, this bench is cool. But I'm using this little guy. It's from Planet Waves. What it does is it just brings your neck up enough that you can turn the strings. It's not super sturdy. It's not super reliable or fancy, but it wasn't super expensive, and it does the job. It gets it up, and you can fold it up. You can put it in a guitar bag. It works on the road. It's pretty cool. You can find a link to this through our Amazon store section of the website, and they'll ship it to you right there from anywhere. You can see we got the string in. It's sticking out. We got the first wrap going over it, and we're going to get the rest of them going under it. So counterclockwise the whole way, and just let it go. You really want to have a string winder when you're doing this. If you're trying to do it with just your hand like this, it's going to take you 10 years. Your wrist will fall off. Okay, so now we're going to tune up, and there's a couple easy tips that we can use. One of them, don't tune up before you get in front of your tuner. And then when you tune up, go just about to pitch. I've got a tuner right here on this stand. If you don't have a tuner, you should. It makes things a lot easier. There we go, I went too far. Okay, it's about there. It's not right where it needs to be, but it's close. So now that we've got it close, we're going to go ahead and just tug on the string right over the sound hole, or over the pickups if you're playing an electric. This part works pretty much the same both ways. Because the strings go from having no tension, and then again on the 12th fret, from having no tension on them in the pack to having a few hundred pounds of pull when they're fully tuned, they're going to want to stretch, so you can take a little bit out. The last time I do it around the 5th or the 7th fret, somewhere in there. Pretty much everywhere you'd get harmonics, that's about where you want to stretch them. That's a good rule. Okay, so a little more fine tuning, and we'll be there. You might have to do that 2 or 3 times. It's going to go out of tune immediately the more you stretch it. You can also play them in, but that takes a lot more time. And so if you're in a hurry, just go ahead and do this method. Okay, so we should be in tune now and ready to go.